So I can't take on nothing else. I'm already tired.
You ready, Mr. Walker?
Hello. How we doing?
Ready?
Fine.
Ready.
It's now about 6:32. I'd like to call this April 26th High Springs City Commission meeting to order. Invocation, Pastor Terry Hall, if you'll lead us, please, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise.
Father God, tonight as we come into this meeting place to do the business of our city, our hearts have been troubled by the events of this past week, the difficulties that are presenting themselves as people who step outside the bounds of law and law-abiding citizenry to attack our school children, to attack our police officers. Heavenly Father, tonight we would intercede on their behalf, that even as we assign a new resource officer to our school, and even as we have many officers with us this evening for that celebration, Heavenly Father, we ask that you would keep our officers protected, that you would be a shield for them, that you would be their glory and the lifter of their heads, that you would anoint them and protect them and cause them to have wisdom and strength and dedication of purpose as they serve us in this community. And may we, the people of this community, be a shield for them also. And may we intercede on their behalf day by day. And for our school children, O Lord, with so many activities in the schools that are unthinkable and were unthinkable just a few short years ago, may our children be kept safe, and may the services of our police department keep them safe. And tonight, O Lord, as we go about the business of this community, may your wisdom, your knowledge, and your grace this place and grace each of us as we participate in this activity. And Lord, may you be glorified in all that we say and do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well said. Thank you, Pastor. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jay, if you do roll call, please.
Yes, Mayor Jameson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Here.
Commissioner James.
Here.
Commissioner Lavin.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I need approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda for the April 26, 2018 commission meeting.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. At this point in time, the approval of the minutes for the April 12th meeting.
I make motion that the minutes from April 12, 2018 be approved. Second.
I have a first and a second for the approval of the April 12th minutes. Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. At this point in time, we're going to have a very special ceremony. Chief?
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Attorney, and Mr. Booth in his absence. It's always a pleasure to come before you with good news. We have an addition added to our department and to our community, and it's as Pastor Hall prayed and talked about in many prayers. We've been going through a tumultuous time. Just this morning, the deputy down in Marion County vehicle got shot at. The day before they got shot at. Yesterday, we lost one upstate, one in Dallas, two here locally. I don't know what's going on, but we really appreciate your support and your prayers. After doing this almost 32 years, I've never seen it this bad. But when you got another soldier want to go on the battlefield and help and fight and protect this community, it's an honor and a privilege to bring before you Officer Tanya Johns. Officer John was hired on August 21st, 2017 He previously worked for the Gainesville Police Department. Kind of taught Tony.
Easy on
Well, we got Chief Jones. I told him, I said, I got one from you. She served as a field service tech and a police officer in the Patrol Division. Officer John's currently assigned to the Juvenile Relations Division as School Resource Officer for the High Springs Community School, but will be transferring to Patrol. She's served her time there, and she's going to be an asset to the community. And when she was hired, she wasn't living in High Springs, but now we got another High Springian.
All right.
So not only she's working here and getting the money here, she's spending it back here. So that's an honor and a privilege. Officer Johns, will you step forward, please, to the podium? I thought I could read this, but I'm going to have to put my spectacles on. And Deputy Chief Shepard, I appreciate you joining us. If you would, hold the Bible for her. Thank you, sir. She said, I got to put my hands on the Bible. I said, is that a problem? She said, no. Officer Johns, will you please raise your right hand? This is the oath of office for the state of, there you go, state of Florida, county of Alachua. I, Tanya Johns, do solemnly swear, repeat after me,
I, Tanya Johns, do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States.
I will support,
Protect.
protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States,
And the state of Florida.
the state of Florida,
That I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state of Florida
under the Constitution of the state of Florida
and the charter of the city of High Springs.
and charter of the city of High Springs,
And that I will well and faithfully perform
and that I will well and faithfully perform
the duties of a police officer of the city of High Springs,
the duties of a police officer of the city of High Springs,
which I'm about to enter.
which I'm about to enter,
So help you God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. The floor is yours.
Hi.
Commissioner.
I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to come to such a great agency and such a small town. I love the atmosphere of the town, and I'm looking forward to serving in the community and protecting others.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With that said, who would you like to pin your badge on?
Chris.
He's also a fellow law enforcement, Alachua County Sheriff's Office. He's about to retire, I guess, but we're trying to work on him too.
Easier to put one of these on yourself, by the way. Way easier to put this on yourself.
This is my son, Colton John. He's not very happy with Mama right now.
No, he isn't.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this point in time,
He ready to go?
I could tell when he came in. Not happy.
tell her, let's go, Colton. At this point in time, the next presentation has been tabled, and so we'll move on to citizen requests and comments. Anyone have something to talk about that's not on the record? Please come up, limit your comments to 5 minutes. Yes, ma'am.
I think you all are aware that this weekend is Pioneer Day. And at first, I would like to thank the city for allowing us to do this. I don't know what the street is, back here, where we're doing the city lot and everything. So I want to thank the city for allowing us to do this, and thank you for all of the help that we will have in putting this on. Hope that you all will come out and enjoy all of the festivities that we have that will be going on this weekend. Commissioner James and I are very busy trying to complete our duties that we have to get all of this together. And again, I thank you for allowing us to have it here, and we hope that it will be successful, and look forward to you all coming out and being with us. Again, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Seeing none, I close the citizens' requests and comments, and we'll move on. The first item here is Community Development Block Grant Program. Melissa Fox of Fred Fox Enterprises is going to conduct this portion. There's multiple steps, and she's going to walk us through it. Melissa?
Hi, thank you. Good evening. My name is Melissa Fox. I'm with Fred Fox Enterprises. We're a grant consulting and writing, a management and writing firm. We work all over the state of Florida, and we work with local communities, counties, and cities in applying for community development block grant funds. And the purpose of tonight's public hearing is to advise the commission as well as the public that the city of High Springs is eligible to apply for a community development block grant. I don't know if y'all have been given a handout of tonight, but I'm just going to go through that quickly. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask at any time. The city of High Springs is eligible to apply for up to $700,000. There are 4 categories in which the city can apply for funds. You can only choose one category for each application cycle. The first one is a housing rehabilitation category, and that is the city will go in and will address 8 to 10 low to moderate income owner-occupied homes. You'll bring those homes up to code. With $700,000, you can only address about 8 to 10 homes, and all the homes have to be located within the city of High Springs. The second one is a commercial revitalization. That is where you go in and you're doing work in your commercial area, your downtown area. So you're doing streetscaping, you could possibly do some building facade. Anything that involves the downtown area would be considered under the commercial revitalization. The city limits would be your service area, so you would be servicing the entire city. And in that, you would need to have a minimum, so your city would need to be a minimum of 51% low to moderate income. And we'll go over those limits in just a few minutes. The third one is a neighborhood revitalization. This is one of the more popular categories. You're going into an area. It could possibly be citywide. It could also be a neighborhood. You're doing infrastructure items like you're doing water line replacements, sewer line replacements, sidewalks, street paving. You're doing work at your sewer plant, work at your water plant, lift station repairs, different things like that. Drainage, you could possibly do a community center, you could do work at a park, anything that's serving a neighborhood. And there again, the beneficiaries must be 51% low to moderate income. So you would identify your service area, who is being served by that activity, and then you would need to go out and we would need to determine that if that area is 51% low to moderate income. The fourth one is an economic development. This is the only category when you can have an open grant in one of the 3 above and still apply for economic funds. And that is where you have a business that wants to come in, and I'll give you an example. We did one for the city of Hawthorne. Love's Travel Stop wanted to come in. They needed water lines ran out to their store. We had one Love's down in Glades County that needed a deceleration lane to be able to turn into there. CDBG will pay for that, and you can actually apply for up to $1.5 million in this category. CDBG can't do any work on private property, but it can provide the city infrastructure needed to. They can do the water line, they can do a sewer line out there, and in exchange for that, the developer, the job, he has to create one job for every $35,000 that he receives in CDBG funding. So, and they have to be a low to moderate income position, and they have to retain that person for at least 1 year, and that is tracked by DEO to make sure that there's job creation and then there's job retention. On the next page, we talk about low to moderate income. Those are set by HUD, and every year HUD updates their income limits. These are the 2018 income limits, and under Alachua County, you can see for a family of 4, the maximum you can make and still be considered low to moderate income would be $50,050. And how we determine if an area is low to moderate income is we have to go out and we have to do a door-to-door survey, where we're canvassing the neighborhood. We've determined the service area, so we're going to canvass that service area, and we're going to conduct random door-to-door surveys. It's not just go next door. It's not that. We have to do an actual system where you're pulling a number out of a hat, and that's the house you go to. So it's a very random type process. And then we would determine based on that sample that we pull if the area is low to moderate income. And in order to be CDBG eligible, it would have to be 51% low to moderate income. The applications are very competitive. So we always encourage communities to do whatever they can to boost their score. Some additional points in the application that you can obtain, you can do leverage. For every $2,000 of leverage, you get an extra final point in your application. So you can have a maximum of 25 points or $50,000. Now, you can exceed the $50,000 towards the project, but you won't receive any more points. 25 points is all you get. For neighborhood revitalization or commercial revitalization projects, you can have engineered stamped construction plans and specifications submitted with the application by the application deadline, and you get an extra 50 points for being considered what DEO considers shovel ready. All the permits have to be applied for. You don't have to have received them, but you have to have at least applied for it. You're basically telling the state, we are ready to go with this project. We don't need to design it. It is ready to go out on the street. HUD is really pushing to get funds out on the street quicker. So this is one way DEO is, kind of awarding communities who have done their diligence and prepared the plans and specs ahead of time, and they're ready to go.
Are we there?
You are not there yet. No, you would need to decide. And tonight we're just going over the 4 categories, and to obtain public comment on any type of category they would like to see the city apply for. And then after that, you would direct our firm to work with city staff to develop a project in whatever category you decide. The local government can't be reimbursed, so any funds that you expend on becoming shovel ready, you can't be reimbursed from those by CDBG. That's something you would have to do at your own expense. I will tell you, the last CDBG application that you had, we did water line replacement, and you were shovel ready. So you worked with Mid-Tower and Associates in doing that. There are steps required in the CDBG application process. The first one is to appoint a Citizens Advisory Task Force. That has been completed. To advertise and hold a Citizens Advisory Task Force meeting to discuss possible projects. That has been completed. The Citizens Advisory Task Force meeting met this evening at 5:30, and they do have a recommendation that I'll bring to you a little bit later. And then you would advertise and hold a first public hearing to obtain public comment and then direction by the commission to move forward on determining a project. That is what we're doing right now. Later on the agenda, we have an advertised, and we're going to hold a fair housing workshop that actually gets you 10 extra points in your application. So, and that just basically just lets the citizens know that you do have a fair housing ordinance in place, and there are steps that you can follow if you feel you've been discriminated against. And then the last one would be to advertise and hold a second public hearing to finalize the application. At that point, we would present an application to you for submission to the state. You would review what's listed, the activities, and then you would you would authorize us to proceed with submitting that application. And then we would also obtain any public comment, and then if there are any changes that the public wants to make and you would direct us to do that, then we would make those changes and then bring it back. Are there any questions on the different categories? Okay, and at this time we can just open it up for public comment. I also have a sign-in sheet. If you have not signed in, we would greatly appreciate it if you could sign in for us, just so we have record of everyone's attendance. We will have to turn those in to DEO, just showing that we did hold it and the public was invited.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
The grant cycle, what is that cycle and what is the deadline? You use those terms.
We don't have a hard deadline right now. DEO, Department of Economic Opportunity, they're currently going through a rule revision, and we've been following up with them almost daily. We're kind of bugging them about it, but it looks like they're going to be due mid-August. If everything goes smoothly with this rule revision that they are doing, then applications would be due mid-August, probably around August 15th. The cycle would open July 1st and it would close August 15th. And our firm, typically we drive them up and we hand deliver those. So we can make sure that they do arrive.
Thank you.
Any comments from the public?
All right, you can close that portion.
Closed public hearing.
Now, staff has met with Mr. Fox, and there are some there's some areas, some streets within the city that desperately need water line replacement. And it's staff recommendation and Mr. Booth's recommendation that we would move forward in a neighborhood revitalization category to address the water lines. CATF meeting met this evening, and they also heard staff's recommendations, and they made a motion and approved to move forward with an application in the neighborhood revitalization category to address water lines, and then if there's any potential sewer line repair work, that also be included. I explained to the Citizens Advisory Task Force that we would have primary activities, and then we could also include some unmet need alternate activities, so that if everything in the primary is completed and there is still money left, then you could address those alternate areas. It has happened before. Bids have come in, and you've been well within the budget, and you've been able to do some of your alternate. I've also seen it where bids came in higher, and you actually had to expend more money. So, it's not something, but as long as you put it in as an alternate, you're not obligated. You're only obligated to complete what's in your primary. And that one we would want to work with, your engineer, whoever you would want us to work with, in developing, what we can do with that $700,000, because that would be the maximum that you could apply for. Any questions? Okay. And all I'm looking for tonight is, authorization from City Commission to move forward with working with city staff and the city's engineer to develop an application, and in what category you would like to see us go after.
Jenny, that's got to be a motion.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with authorizing them to do a neighborhood revitalization application for replacement of water lines and possible sewer lines in the targeted area that's been designated by the Citizens Advisory Task Force.
A second.
Got a first and a second. Any other comments? At this point in time, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. We look forward to working with the city on this project. Are we ready to move
You're up.
forward to okay, all right.
We'll do the fair
I'm back
housing.
again.
Fair housing.
Yes. All right, I'm here tonight just to discuss that the city of High Springs does have a fair housing ordinance in place, and just to advise the public and the commission of what those the protected classes are, and then what you can do if you feel like you have been discriminated. The Fair Housing Act was adopted in 1968. It was amended in 1988 and 1995. The amendments addressed familial status and over 55 years of age exemptions. The Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing because of race or color, national origin, religion, sex, familial status, including children under the age of 18 living with parents or legal custodians, pregnant women, and people securing custody of children under 18, and disability. The Department of Housing and Urban Development enforces the Fair Housing Act, which prohibits discrimination and the intimidation of people in their homes, apartment buildings, and condominium developments. In nearly all housing transactions, including the rental and sale of housing and the provision of mortgage loans. What housing is covered? The Fair Housing Act covers most housing. In some circumstances, the Act exempts owner-occupied buildings with no more than 4 units, single-family housing sold or rented without the use of a broker, and housing operated by organizations and private clubs that limit occupancy to members. In the sale and rental of housing, no one may take any of the following actions based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, or national origin: refuse to rent or sell housing, refuse to negotiate for housing, set different terms, conditions, or privileges for sale or rental of a dwelling, falsely deny that housing is available for inspection, sale, or rental, for profit, persuade or try to persuade homeowners to sell or rent dwellings by suggesting that people of a particular race, religion, national origin, etc. have moved or about to move into that neighborhood. Deny any person access to membership or participation in any organization, facility, or service related to the sale or rental of dwellings. The Fair Housing Act makes it unlawful to discriminate against a person whose household includes 1 or more children who are under 18 years of age. It's known as familial status. Familial status protection covers households in which 1 or more minor children live with a parent A person who has legal custody, including guardianship, of a minor child or children, or the designee of a parent or legal custodian with the written permission of the parent or legal custodian. Familial status protection also extends to pregnant women and any person in the process of securing legal custody of a minor child, including adoptive or foster parents. There's additional protection if you have a disability. If you or someone associated with you have a physical or mental disability, including hearing, mobility, visual impairments, cancer, chronic mental illness, or HIV/AIDS that substantially limits one or more major life activities, or regarded as having such a disability, a housing provider may not refuse to let you make reasonable modifications to your dwelling at your expense. A landlord may permit changes only if you agree to restore the property to its original condition when you move. And there has been cases, I know in Jacksonville, Florida, where a tenant was denied they wanted to put a handicap ramp and they were denied that, and so that's considered discrimination. You have to be able to make modifications to the home as long as you agree to restore it. They had to remove the ramp if they moved out and things like that. A building with a no pets policy. You must allow a visually impaired tenant to keep a guide dog. However, the Fair Housing Act does not protect a person who is a direct threat to the health or safety of others or who currently uses illegal drugs. The housing for older persons exemption. I know you've seen a lot of 55-plus communities. There is an exemption that you can get for that. The Fair Housing Act specifically exempts some senior housing facilities and communities from liability for familial status discrimination. Exempt senior housing facilities or communities can lawfully refuse to sell or rent dwellings to families with minor children. In order to qualify for the housing for older persons exemption, a facility or community must prove that its housing is provided under any state or federal program that HUD has determined to be specifically designed and operated to assist elderly persons, intended for and solely occupied by persons 62 years of age or older, or intended and operated for occupancy by persons 55 years of age or older. The facility or community must comply with HUD's regulatory requirements for age verification of residents. The housing for older persons exemption does not protect senior housing facilities or communities from liability for housing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, or national origin. If you think your rights have been violated, what to tell HUD? You would need to file a complaint with your name and address, the name and address of the person your complaint is against, the address or other identification of the housing involved, a short description of the alleged violation, the date or dates of the alleged violation. Local ordinance includes steps that can be taken locally. The city's ordinance also includes time limits in which complaints must be submitted and responses provided. You can file a complaint within the local, you can do it on the state, or you can do it on the federal level. You can file a complaint online or send a letter to the HUD office nearest you, or if you wish, you may call that office directly. Persons who are deaf or hard of hearing and use a TTY may call those offices through the toll-free Federal Information Relay Service. You can contact the Southeast Regional Office in Atlanta. The number is 404-331-5140. If after contacting the local office nearest you, you still have questions, you can contact HUD further at the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Office of Fair Housing and Equal Opportunity, 451 7th Street Southwest, room 5204, Washington, D.C. Telephone 1-800-669-9777. What happens when you file a complaint? When you file it with HUD, HUD will notify you in writing when your complaint is accepted for filing under the Federal Fair Housing Act. HUD also will notify the alleged violator of the filing of your complaint and allow the respondent time to submit an answer to the complaint. HUD will investigate the complaint and determine whether or not there is reasonable cause to believe that the respondent violated the Fair Housing Act. HUD will notify you and the respondent if they cannot complete its investigation with 100 days of filing and provide reason for the delay. During the complaint investigation, HUD is required to offer you and the respondent the opportunity to voluntarily resolve your complaint with a conciliation agreement. What happens after a complaint investigation? There is determination of reasonable cause, charge of discrimination, and election. When the investigation is complete, HUD will prepare a final investigative report summarizing the evidence gathered during the investigation. If HUD determines that there is reasonable cause to believe that the respondent discriminated against the complainant, HUD will issue a determination of reasonable cause and a charge of discrimination against the respondent. The complainant and the respondent have 20 days after receiving the notice of the charge to decide whether to have their case heard by a HUD administrative law judge or to have a civil trial in a federal district court. The HUD administrative law judge hearing, if neither the complainant nor the respondent elects to have a federal civil trial before the 21-day period expires, HUD will promptly schedule the hearing for the complainant's case before a HUD ALJ. The ALJ hearing will be conducted in the locality where the discrimination allegedly occurred. During the hearing, the complainant and the respondent have the right to appear in person, to be represented by legal counsel, and to present evidence, to cross-examine witnesses, and to request subpoenas in aid of discovery of evidence. On the state level, you can file fair housing complaints with the Florida Commission on Human Relations, and that address is 2009 Appalachian Parkway, Suite 100, Tallahassee, Florida 32301. The phone number is 1-800-342-8170. City of High Springs also has an ordinance in place, ordinance number 90-19. It was adopted September 30th, 1990. Copies of that ordinance are available here at City Hall, and it outlines the steps that you can take locally if you feel you have been discriminated against. Are there any questions?
Well done.
Thank you. I know that was a lot of information thrown at you at one in a very short amount of time, so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Any questions?
This is, the only thing I would say, this is similar to the grant that we got on the other side of town, same type of deals, $700,000 to replace water lines and
Correct.
And so forth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All right. If there's no other questions, then that would conclude the workshop for the fair housing. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? We good? At this point in time, we'll enter into new business. Item number 1, consider ordinance 2018-04. Mr. Walker.
Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance number 2018-04, an ordinance of the City of High Springs amending the fiscal year budget for 2017 through 2018 for the High Springs CRA, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and providing for codification. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2018-04.
Any discussion? Any movement on it? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we pass ordinance number 2018-04, amending the budget of the CRA.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Any other comments? Jenny, roll call, please. Yes.
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 Thank you. Item number 2, approve purchase of property located at 23666 Northwest 185th Road. Excuse me. Jennifer, is that something you're going to discuss, or Courtney? Excuse me.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is the property that was recently brought before the High Springs CRA as a property that we're referring to as the depot property. At the last High Springs CRA meeting, the CRA voted to purchase this property located at 23666 Northwest 185th Road. In your packet, you have a contract for purchase. I believe that the version in here has not been updated because it had a closed date in April. And your city manager has negotiated that date to be sometime in May. That allowed city staff to get the appropriate appraisal to follow the city's real property policy. The appraisal did come in higher than the purchase price, which your manager had negotiated down the asking price before that anyway, but the appraisal did come out higher, and did allow for the city to go out and get a title search on the property and take care of some other matters like that. The previous ordinance that you just passed on first reading amended your budget to allow for the CRA to have the room in their budget to purchase this property.
Okay. So this would just require a motion to approve the purchase is what we need to do?
That is correct.
Okay. Any comments or movement on this?
Is it proper if I ask what the appraisal was?
Here. Here it is, right here. I have it from our meeting.
I move that we approve the purchasing of the building located at 23666 Northwest 185th Road to house offices for the CRA Director and FDC.
Have a motion?
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion first and a second. Any other comments? Anything from the public? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And this directs us to complete the sale then, right, Courtney? What we've done is just allow you to go ahead and complete it.
Yes, next month.
At this point in time, we'll go to item number 3. Consider ordinance 2018-05. Mr. Walker?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is ordinance number 2018-05, an ordinance of the City of High Springs, Florida, pursuant to a petition to number annexation 18-01 relating to voluntary annexation, making findings, annexing to and including within the property the boundaries of the City of High Springs, Florida, certain real property located in Alachua County, Florida, which is reasonably compact and contiguous to the boundaries of the City of High Springs, Florida, redefining the boundaries of the City of High Springs, Florida, providing for land use classification of the real property to be annexed, providing that the effective January 1st, 2019 date, the real property to be annexed shall be assessed for payment of municipal ad valorem taxes and shall be subject to all general and special assessments, providing that existing licensed businesses, trades, or professions operating within the real property to be annexed may continue such businesses, trades, or professions throughout the entire boundaries of the City of High Springs, Florida, directing the city clerk within 7 days of the effective date of this ordinance to file a certified copy of this ordinance with the Florida Department of State, Florida Office of Economic and Demographic Research, Clerk of the Circuit Court of Alachua County, Florida, the Chief Administrative Officer of Alachua County, Florida, the Property Appraiser of Alachua County, Florida, the Tax Collector of Alachua County, Florida, and all public utilities authorized to conduct business within the City of High Springs, Florida, providing severability, providing all reasonable, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is to pass ordinance number 2018-05 as read by title only.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion?
May I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2018-05 on first reading?
Second.
I have a first and a second to pass it. Any other comments from the public? At this point in time, Jenny, roll call, please.
Yes.
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Mr. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. At this point in time, item number 4, review and consider the High Springs Museum lease agreement. Jennifer?
This is the last of the buildings that the city owns that's not under the new current lease agreement. We'd like to go ahead and move the museum to the current lease agreement that we have with everybody else. And if you all recall, that lease agreement states that they pay their own utilities and any repairs up to $500, and for that they pay $1, I believe $1 a year, something like that, for rent.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So we lease that building out to others, correct? For use.
Santa Fe room, homeroom,
Right.
Mostly it's, those two rooms are used for the Santa Fe College.
Okay. But we do rent out to other groups every now and then, correct? And also,
Periodically, yes.
yeah, and also the city uses sometime for meetings, correct?
Training, yeah.
Training and then also I know that air liquidation, whatever the name is, they use it sometimes. My point is, you have other people using the building electricity. So they're gonna be obligated for the whole bill?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, we're going to break down, and I haven't had a chance to talk with David Benton to see if he can add to the but we will work out to where it's fair based on who's using it and all that. No, we're not going to charge them the whole thing.
Okay.
We're hoping, like I said, to get something, but like I said, I haven't had a chance to talk to David about it.
I was thinking about that somewhat in the same way, but mainly because the bathroom is over there and everybody comes through there is always in that bathroom and that's not just theirs. So that's another thing that you're going to consider.
If you want, we can work out something and bring it back here, if that would be good. Before you put it in place.
I think you'd like to see something. I think everybody sort of would just want to make sure that there's a fairness, that they're not paying for something they're not using, type of deal.
We'll get something.
Even if it's a percentage or something where you came back, just something that we would have to show that they're only paying for what they're using it. Okay.
Yeah, but I know, like this weekend, I'm quite sure the
Yes.
chamber using it
Exactly.
all weekend.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that the museum's only open like 4 days a month right now. So the amount of electricity they would be using on a 4-day-a-month thing versus whatever activities might be going on would be significantly less, and so maybe a percentage of the total bill. Putting another meter in is going to cost us. You can put another meter in, but it's going to cost you, and then you're going to have an electrician change the line. So that would be quite expensive.
Right, and that's, like I said, that was something I was going to get with that. If that's not feasible, then yes. We're not going to, city by no means wants any particular group to not get their, fair share, so we'll make sure that there's rhyme or reason.
Okay. I would think that obviously you would want to make sure you run this by the attorney, because what we agree, and the reason I say this, we can agree to something now, but if the language isn't correct within the deal.
We've been working.
I figured you had, but I mean, you can have a verbal agreement here, but 3 or 4 years from now, if there's a change, it may be different, so the language is.
That part would be part of the agreement. We would make that
I understand, I just think that's the important part, is so everybody's covered. Okay. So you'll do that, and then you'll bring it back with a recommendation on it?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Everybody okay with that? You guys good? Okay. Jennifer, you're up. Financial statements?
Yes, these are financial statements through February 2018. We on your general fund, the way the state pays, it's a little bit behind, and when I say it's a little bit behind is, for example, I just did March, and that was for January's payments, because the state is always like 2 months behind on the payments. So if you look at the general fund revenue and you're questioning why some of that's low, just keep that in mind. It does, by the end of the year, we always keep the year end open until everything's been accounted for, because it isn't on cash basis, it's on accrual. So just keep that in mind on the revenues. There hasn't been anything, we have bought some of our capital stuff, some of the vehicles, and utilities, and parks bought theirs, and police, I believe, are looking at their vehicles. But spending has been, everybody's been living within their budget, and everything looks good. So I don't know if you have any particular questions for particular departments that I can answer.
I already asked you my questions.
If you had any more.
I'd like you to speak, because this was something on the deal. Any issue with the grant payments and reimbursement as far as guys? I know that was brought up at one point in time, because we had like 2 or 3 different grants. We'd have to pay it out, and then the reimbursement.
And we're continuing to do that. We now have 3 going. They started the large $3.5 million.
Right.
We just paid the first part to Mid-Tower of $257,000. But I will say this, Swanee River is as soon as we send it in, they are very responsive, and we're getting a check usually within 2 to 3 weeks.
Great.
All right.
That's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
they've been great. So, the grinder pump one has just about finished, and Camp Kalakwa is on the, it's coming down to the last part of the grant. So we should just have the one grant going here pretty soon.
Okay. Good. Any other comments? The only thing I want to do is I know we're prepping for budget stuff. Do you know when that's going to come forth, approximate?
We don't get ad valorem till July 1, end of June. So I think we usually have our first one. Jenny, correct me if I'm wrong. The first workshop will be in July, usually what we do.
Okay.
It'll be,
That's fine.
Yeah, it'll be July. We are working on it now. Mr. Booth has met with all of us.
I know you've met. I just wanted to
Yeah.
get a timeline, and I'll just say this on my deal. I just want to make darn sure that with the development and so forth that we have, which is going good, I want us to be conservative in the revenues, so we don't plan for projects if the money doesn't get it. That's all. I just want to make sure that's my own personal deal. I just want to make sure we spend within our limits, and we don't expect something, it doesn't come in, then we're stuck. So I would just ask that you keep that in mind.
Yes, sir.
The other
Anybody
thing
else?
is, they brought up at the League of City meetings the other night about a constitutional amendment for an additional homestead exemption that's going to hit us financially.
Yes.
So we need to be working
they've
that into
planned.
our budget projections.
And yes, that will hit us this year. And I did talk to Wendy at the county, and she, this isn't in
Right.
stone, but she gave me an estimate that we'll lose about $55,000, but taxable values are continuing. So we're not going to see a $55,000 loss. We just won't see as much growth.
Okay.
But yeah, Mr. Booth had me, and I questioned her.
Well, I know Ed's mentioned that, and we've been anticipating that
Yes.
for the year. Type of deal.
Yes.
Now you get hard numbers.
Right. Yeah, we'll have hard numbers in June.
Okay.
God bless you.
Any other comments? No. Okay. Number 6, consider resolution 2018-D. Mr. Walker.
Mr. Mayor, this is Resolution 2018-D, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of High Springs, Florida, approving an amendment to the traffic signal maintenance and compensation agreement between the City of High Springs and the Florida Department of Transportation, authorizing the city manager to execute the amendment to the agreement, providing the City of High Springs accepts the responsibilities outlined in the attached amended agreement, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. The appropriate motion is passed Resolution 2018-D.
So what is being amended, I guess, on this? What is the
Courtney.
amended piece?
They basically wanted it to be more specific on who had the authority. And so they've asked that we amend it so that it basically, because every year this comes back to you, and so we just amended the language essentially so that it doesn't have to continue to come back to you year after year. You can always change your mind, you can always revoke the agreement, but you don't have to approve it every year.
So that's the amendment part.
That's what's happening.
The resolution basically is allowing the signature of the city manager. There's still the agreement to come back. Just the signature doesn't have to be adopted by a resolution. And that's only the DOT requires.
Nothing different in what's required. It's just the same thing that for the 5 years, what I call it, that you've been here. So it's the same thing.
They've sent this out to everybody and they've asked
Right.
everyone to
Okay.
do the resolution.
Just no change in requirements, expectation of this, but just the ability to roll it over, so to speak, each year. Okay. Okay. Any questions?
Yep.
I move that we accept Resolution 2018-D, which approves the traffic signal maintenance and compensation agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation.
I'll second that.
I have a first and a second to approve Resolution 2018-D. Any other comments? Roll call, Jenny?
Commissioner James?
Yes.
Mr. Lavin?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Jameson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Passed 5-0. At this point in time, number 7, consider declaring city vehicle 1998 Dodge pickup as surplus and authorize the city manager to dispose of the vehicle. Would you want to comment on that, Jenny?
This is the truck. It's the 1998. It looks so bad, we actually took the city seal off.
I heard.
So people wouldn't know.
Is it the black one?
It's,
That's the one, what's his name was driving? Don was driving.
And, what we're trying to do is just to declare it.
Any comments? You've seen better days?
Yes. 2 years ago.
So I would need something, just basically someone to make a motion to,
I'll make such a motion that this 1998 Dodge pickup be declared
surplus.
surplus.
I'll second that.
Have a first.
Declare it surplus and authorize the city manager to dispose of it.
And authorize the city manager to dispose of it.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have the amended and seconded to authorize the city manager to declare the surplus. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Set it out to pasture.
Set it up.
Number 8, consider agreement with the school board of Alachua County for a school resource officer program.
Mayor, going to speak?
Mr. Mayor, it's, annually we enter into a contract with School Board of Alachua County. Same verbiage, probably get some more money from the state in light of what's going on throughout the nation. So, recommendation is we go ahead and enter into an agreement.
The agreement brings substantially more money. Just so people know, before it was $20,400, and this year it's $37,700 and something from the additional money coming from the state. So I just want to make sure when we talk about, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong too on this one, when we talk about the resource officer, we've got it then, but then we also are able to use that officer for the other 2 months. Not just for school. This is a full-time officer, just not during the school year.
Anytime there's an event or activities, especially when kids or students are on campus, we're going to have that officer there.
Right. Right.
Do we provide, it is her, right? Is she over there in the summer when they're doing their summer extended enrichment program?
She's in the process of being transitioned out. We're going to put Officer Jason Taylor. He's going to take her place, and he's going to start next year. But during the summer months, if there are activities with a substantial amount of kids, we'll have Officer Taylor there.
Very good. So so we just need a motion to approve the contract?
Yes. Please. The appropriate motion would be for the approval of the School Board of Alachua County, Florida, and City of High Springs, Florida, School Resource Officer Program Contract.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
I have a first and second to approve the contract between Alachua County and High Springs for School Resource Officer. Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hey, let me just say real simple on this one here, since I'm sort of heavily involved with this with my job. We're extremely fortunate in Alachua County. When I have been talking to a lot of districts around the state, they have none. You have some that are going to have to get 50-something school resource officers. Sarasota County is going to form their own police department for schools. Not the county, the school district. We are extremely blessed in our county to have had this for so many years. A lot of districts are going to scramble to get it done. So, Chief, we thank you, and we look forward.
Can I bring something up? I heard at the League of Cities meeting the other night, and I was shocked by this. I know our police department costs a lot of money for our city, and our citizens want it, and I'm really glad we have it. But Newberry has 3 school resource officers that they pay the county to have there. The mayor said they get charged $120,000 per officer to have them at the schools by the sheriff's department. So the city of Newberry is bearing that burden over and above what the county can pay them, and they feel it's that important. But I'm so very grateful that we not only made a decision to have a police department, but that we made a decision to make that a priority to have an officer in our school. So, I think that the cost benefit of having our police department is well worth what we get back in security and savings. And, we're not having to contract with the county to do it.
Any other comments? Move on. Number 9, update and discussion on lots in the Douglas neighborhood. Is this Courtney? Is this you?
Mr. Mayor, some years ago, the city entered into a development LLC. The city donated 8 lots to High Springs Development LLC, and the purpose was to build low-income housing. So the LLC was going to construct homes on the property, then sell those homes, but the agreement was they could not charge for the value of the land, thus making the homes more affordable, but still allowing a profit for the LLC. The agreement said that any lots that were not developed for a 10-year period would be reconveyed back to the city of High Springs. Unfortunately, none of the lots had a home constructed on them, and so High Springs Land Development LLC has reconveyed all of the lots back to the city of High Springs. So this is on here tonight for discussion and direction to city staff on what you might like to see on those lots.
And these are the ones in red.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, several groups are interested in these lots, and 3 of them would be nonprofit. I would left my notes at the house. You know, you have the Habitat, and then it's the Mr. Walker. One was Corey. It's old neighborhood housing.
What is Corey? What is the name of it? I think that's right.
Corey Harris, I think is his last name. And then there's another group that they're the county group, but they're not the county group. It's for the whole. Let me back up. It's a Gainesville housing, but it's for the county. And they're another, and they basically what they focus on is poor working people, working poor, as you put it. So I think, don't we have an agreement? I mean,
We have, remind me, Courtney, we go back and forth from in our
We have a
surplus.
so we have a real property policy, and then we have a low-income housing policy that does allow when the city has lots that the city has determined are surplus, that the city doesn't have a use for, that they can be donated to a nonprofit. And so our procedure is, if the commission decides to declare them surplus for the purposes of low-income housing, you would do so by resolution. We would post it to the city's website. Any interested nonprofit can come in. If they're the only nonprofit that's interested in the lot, then they get that. If there's some competition, then we can proceed there. And I believe that Christina has some ideas too that she wanted to talk to you about too. So in addition to the low income housing policy, there are some other opportunities for those lots.
I had the opportunity the other day to meet with the county as well as the University of Florida Schimberg Center for Housing. And not only are they excited about the whole idea of extending our CRA to incorporate this area, but had named a number of resources that would be available to us through the university and other entities to help. So as far as packaging, I mean, we could do a number of things. We could do small area plans. Of course, we could have the university students work with an advisory board if we designate one in the Douglas neighborhood. There's just a lot of things that can be done. Of course, community land trusts that would provide that. I mean, it could be donated to a nonprofit, and the community land trust would own the land, but people that would buy the units, so they would actually have some equity, and it's a much lower cost. But yet, it can be set up in a number of ways. So it can be mixed income. It doesn't have to be all of the same AMI, area median income. A lot of times, in a lower market, they might do 60%. But so there's just different ways that can be structured so that it can be very diverse. And so as far as, but they mentioned university. There's a housing department within your urban and regional planning department. There's a possibility a class could come out and help do like small area plans and give ideas. And there's just a lot of different things that can be done to help. We can master plan the whole entire area. So there's just a number of things depending on what you all would like to see in the advisory board if you would decide to designate one.
I think that is really important. You said that one of the problems over there was that the citizens felt like people coming in with ideas that weren't to the nature of the community or what they wanted to have in the community. So I think that's an important first step, is to put some sort of an advisory board together.
Yeah, true, yes. But this word I don't like using, but I'm going to say it anyway. Maybe we need to do a workshop and sit down and to discuss the different ideas. And maybe have other groups to come in and explain what they can do. A workshop with us, and also open up to the community. And then then we'll start putting together an advisory board too.
Right.
Once we can kind of wean it down to what we actually want to do.
Yeah.
Because like, I know they're so spread out. I mean, they're
Right, they are.
Yeah, so.
Some of them are way close to Maine. I didn't realize they were so far over,
Yeah, they're so spread out. I thought some of them was kind of. I said there was two right here together, but one of those lots are really so small, probably can't even do nothing with it. So you probably put those two together. That's that 14.
Down the corner.
Yeah.
13 or 14.
Yeah, workshopping would be an excellent idea because, as far as like if we were to update our CRA plan, of course, we'd have that whole, so that would be something we can, definitely put into place, in May, and therefore, because to have that update in place would have to be in, I think, by the end of the year, so that's something we'll probably, if you all desire to do that, we'll probably do that pretty soon.
I think doing the workshop is the way to go, because that gives us input
Yeah,
from.
and then, invite the community in. And,
Let me ask a question. I think we'll do this. So you said on the share thing, whether you have the CRA extension or not wouldn't affect what we would do with the lots. We could still do with what we wanted to do with the lots, or are you saying in order for us to do it, you would have to extend it?
No, of course. I mean, if there would be the decision not to extend the CRA, I mean, that wouldn't affect how that would be handled.
Okay.
But in the event that we were to.
Right, I just wanted to make sure on the distinction, because if we didn't, I didn't want this to be affected. I want to make sure whatever came out of the plan,
But
it wasn't dependent upon.
Yeah, but they did seem very excited about it, because they mentioned about updating the plan with adding in the extension. So they were emphasizing a lot with infrastructure projects and things that will grow the tax base. And so they were very excited about the possibility of that.
Okay.
Thank you for doing all that research for us.
so when can we schedule a workshop?
Jenny, you want to, if you would, please, and I would say probably sooner rather than later, because you are going to be getting into budget stuff and so forth, and I'd rather have this, so if there was some money or something, we would have time to plan for that. So if you'd look at dates and send it out, please. Kathleen, who needs to be here? Does any outside agencies need to be here in that, or this solely be the community, invite people in from Douglas and the city? Would we want outside at this point?
I think definitely it's a good idea. I mean, we could have a discussion maybe at the May meeting about who to invite, and then, but I think broad.
Okay. Is that your thoughts, Bob?
Yeah, and then, but at some point, we need to bring those different organizations in, hear what they can offer, and the citizens need to hear it also.
So, Jenny, if you can just get with, I guess, with Catherine and so forth, and see how we want to do that, and let us know.
Yes.
Any other? Everybody good with that?
I'm good.
No.
Go ahead,
Answer
sir.
that question, Courtney. I guess you probably wouldn't know though, but I know Mr. Bowie owned his son owned other lots in that area. Am I correct?
Ones that are highlighted.
That's it. So, 49.
49.
So, I hope I ain't talking too much. Let him cat out the back. So, most of these lots he's not paying the taxes on. Okay, I'm gonna keep quiet. Okay, we'll keep quiet. Okay, we'll keep quiet now. 49? Okay, we'll keep quiet. We'll wait. Okay. We'll keep quiet, Mr.
It'll take care of itself.
Mr. Walker, we'll keep quiet.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll schedule a workshop. We'll look at these 8 lots, get some input on it, on how we want to progress. I think the main thing is to establish a plan. I think so the people within the community and so forth, they understand what we're going to assist with. So there's sort of like light at the end of the tunnel, as opposed to just lots staying there being dilapidated and so forth. So I think if we can do that, I think it would be a great move forward, and it also speaks to the people in the community that it's the community. It's not a segregated area. So if we can get that set up and get going, I think that would be an extremely positive move. So people know we're trying to make things better.
Well, and it opens a conversation for a bigger plan for that whole neighborhood, for a longer term plan, and not just filling one lot, but looking at what do we want it to look like? What do they want it to look like in 20 years?
Well, I think that's crucial. So, Catherine, we thank you, and we look forward to moving forward with this and bringing some type of resolution to the citizens in that community. Thank you. Any other? We good, Linda? You okay? Number 10, consider awarding bid for mowing services.
We done RFP for mowing services. so we went ahead and just did it for 1 year. So, this is, I would recommend the Lopez and Green, who is our current.
Mm-hmm.
Then if we decide to go the other way, we could terminate.
Why is there such a difference?
That was my question.
Sure, that first individual was from Chippewa, so I don't know if he would have to.
Maybe travel.
Travel.
Wow.
That's what he said when he asked.
Make it worth his while.
One of them big organizations that do state highways and all that kind of
Make
stuff.
it worth his while. If he's gonna come here, it's gonna be.
That's a big difference.
So there's been some things with Boone that I know Public Works was having some issues with stuff not being done in a timely manner. Has that been resolved, or is it being resolved? Okay. Because, that was what I had heard, was there were some issues
Yes, we
with
were
that.
having issues about them not billing.
Okay.
They do not know January, February, March, so they will start back once
I hear they started.
But maybe they're supposed to. Yeah, the rest is done. But yes, we are staying on top of that.
Okay, thank you.
So do I have any motion on this at all?
I'll make such a motion that Boone be awarded the contract for the lawn.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second to accept the bid from Boone. Any other comments? And that's a 1 year, right?
1 year.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, thank you very much. The Boone gets the mowing contract. At this point in time, number 11, Jennifer, discussion on Civic Center.
Oh, we're going to show you the center's finished. Jenny's got some
Yay!
pictures.
Wow, look at that. That's nice.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, look at there.
Where is, what place is this?
Civic Center.
It's amazing.
We actually put in sound system, PA equipment. With that,
Man, that's just.
it is very.
It sure is. Mm-hmm.
And they got their CO.
Look at that.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yes.
I don't want my wife to see that. I'm gonna have to go renovate.
That is terrific.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the oven and the microwave in the corner?
Yes.
The wall.
No more stove.
It's a warmer, right?
Right.
Warmer.
Right.
Which is good. Right.
You have big refrigerators, open doors like this, large.
That's great.
The storage.
Okay.
Were the bathrooms remodeled as part of that?
They were remodeled a few years ago, so they're still.
It's fine.
So, with this all being done, we, talking with Courtney, and we brought it to before, we need to update the lease that we have. It's not been done. It's not been done in quite a few years. So one of the things that we want to incorporate is a fee waiver that you apply for once a year, and it, depending on what you all agree to, whether you get completely waived, or such as somebody that does outreach in the community that they're doing at the community center. They're doing it for the whole community. That may be totally waived. Versus somebody that's using it on a regular basis, they may pay just the utility part, and we will come up with a per time rate. Anyway, so Courtney and Robert and myself and Jenny will work on that and bring it back. But we did want to let you know that we do want to make changes with how nice it is, and just to make sure that, you know, the process of when they come in and rent it, they're making sure it's getting cleaned up, having checklists and all of that are being done. So just kind of tightening up that lease agreement. That's pretty much what I wanted. I want to make sure that y'all are good. If y'all have anything that you want us to incorporate as we're working on it, you know, to bring up now. But we will bring it back to you for approval.
Do you get deposits when they rent
Yes,
out?
ma'am.
Okay.
And that's another part that we're going to talk about when we bring it back, because it hasn't been changed in like forever.
And what's the capacity? When I looked at that form and it said 200, but Bill told me it wasn't 200. Do we know the capacity?
I believe we're going to have to reevaluate it. That's what we're going to look at it and let us know the capacity, and then we will actually have to go.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. But there are cameras there now, so you know, we'll be able to, if something happens, we have a better idea of
What happened and
what
who
happened
did it.
and why. So we will be bringing that back.
Just, another thing, just make sure we have enough cleaners supplied. Mops and brooms, and I mean, not the ones that's falling apart, not first mops.
Maybe we'll go out, since it's brand so nice and new, we'll get new
stuff. You should with that.
Well, it probably hasn't, you know, you're right, it probably hasn't bought any.
Yeah, you should.
So we'll definitely do that, make sure that, and one of the things too, this Robert's taking over the the Civic Center, and he will be making sure that it's going to be. And one of the things we are changing, because one of the things that there's so many keys out in the community.
That's my question.
Okay. So what we've done is we have a lockbox now on the front door that has a key code. So when you rent it, you get the key code. And Robert's going to change that key code periodically, so nobody gets to keep keys.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Very good, yeah.
But
We don't even know
change
who
that.
has keys. That's how many that are out there.
Yeah,
So they've
there's
all
a
been
bunch of them out
changed,
there.
rekeyed
Yeah.
everything.
So it's been rekeyed and
Okay.
It was-
Any other comments? Mr. Barber? If you come up to the microphone, please, sir.
I have the Monday night program for the seniors dinner.
Just wait till you get up here, sir. Thank you. You're good. Thank you, sir.
I have the Monday night program for the seniors dinner and the music down there. And I do need to express my gratitude because the people are very grateful for the use of that. It's been a real good program. Before we moved to the school, we were averaging about between 50 and 60 people every Monday night. As you know, there's a pretty good crowds there. You also know we just celebrated the 100th birthday for two of our people that's down there, and a 99 one that didn't make it because he was sick that night. So for a lot of the people that's coming to that, that's their only source. And we've been doing this program, not here. This is our 4th year here. So we have a real good track record, I think, set up. But we've been doing this for 15 years. The wife and I have been in this for 15 years altogether. Some of the people that started with us are still coming, and it just keeps building. We appreciate the use of the school. Glad we're out of there. We're supposed to be back Monday, and people are very happy to get back in there Monday. The school doesn't accommodate the food service that we need. This remodeling, I did get the chance to look at. It is beautiful. It is really, and I want to assure you that not only do we appreciate it, but we'll take excellent care of it. And if there's any question at all, please call me immediately. Okay, I will correct.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Mr. Barber. Thank you.
And again, on behalf of the people, thank you very much.
So you're going to bring back to us just proposals on how to do it and so forth. And my understanding is what you said is you would have like would you go by calendar year or by fiscal year to have sort of like the registration period to come in? Do we know that yet, or is that something?
I was thinking fiscal year, to give us time to get everything. We're just going to leave it how it is now, and whoever's, under the old agreement, and then I think definitely by then.
And so you'd have a front end to come in, register your nonprofit, do this bit,
Right.
get the
So
exemption or whatever it is.
So have are the things, the Monday night group and like the Wednesday night food drive, are they moving back over there here in the next month or?
I believe they're coming on Monday.
Okay.
So they'll be back on
And then
Monday.
the Wednesday night, they have the food pantry.
I don't, we just got, so I don't know if they've notified us.
Okay, I'm just curious.
They have, yeah.
Okay.
And then we have, I know somebody's running it to Saturday night.
No.
Saturday.
Wow. Alrighty, good job.
Any comments? I would just simply ask that you address the issue of insurance, which I know I beat a dead horse. I just want to make sure that everyone's covered, the renting group and us. I just think that's something just to address that. And then you can go. Okay. Mr. Walker?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
This will be the only time Ed has nothing to say. If you don't know, Ed broke his leg and he's been in. He gets out tomorrow, I believe.
He's home.
He's home now. Okay, so he got out actually sooner. That would have been the hospital's decision.
Maybe.
But I mean, to get him the heck out. We wish him the best. He broke his leg and he's a splint. So if everybody's just thinking about him, and hopefully he'll get back.
I do have something I want to talk to you about. I've been downtown a lot lately. Not only do I work there, but I've been walking around there. And we have a group of downtown merchants that have really worked hard to get the First Friday program moving forward, and they're really getting some momentum. And it's impressive because it's a handful of people, and I was privileged to be able to sit with them this past Tuesday, or Wednesday, I guess, while they brainstormed. So they had some ideas that are really great, and they've been bringing a lot of people into downtown, which helps all of our businesses. And one of the ideas was that to try on one of the First Friday nights, at some point, to do have some of the local breweries, which we have a brewery here in High Springs now, have a festival or, an area where they could set up and show people about their product and maybe have music, local musicians as part of a First Friday event, okay? So I reached out to Courtney because I know there's all kinds of rules and regulations with our alcohol ordinance, and she gave me some information back. We've been emailing back and forth. I'd like to put that on our agenda for the next meeting about whether we could do some sort of special event permit was what her recommendation was, maybe once or twice a year to allow these small businesses, and I'm talking microbreweries, little small breweries, to be here with our merchants and to create a different group of people that will come into town. The ever striving thing as a business owner is trying to get people to come into your business and spend money. I mean, that's what businesses are there for, is to create revenue. And so just trying to reach out to different audiences. And Christina was there at the meeting as well. And, we did a lot of brainstorming. There was a lot of great ideas. And for such a small group, I'm just absolutely impressed with how much traction they've gotten. They have diligence and perseverance like none other. This next First Friday, which will be not this Friday, but next week, they're going to focus on moms and graduates, because Santa Fe College graduation is that Friday night or that Friday afternoon. So that's kind of their focus for this coming month. And they work really diligently. And I volunteered to go to another business in town who doesn't even benefit from the First Friday, who gets no business from it, and asked her about purchasing carnations that we want to give out, on this first Friday. And Thompson's Florist is going to donate them to us so that we can do that. So these businesses are really a mainstay for our community, and we have to help them, we being the city. Let's see how we can maybe do a special festival. Pioneer Days is wonderful. It doesn't bring in necessarily people that are going to keep coming back here and shopping and going to the restaurants, etc. So we're just trying to pull from different people. So I would like to bring that up at the first May meeting for a discussion to see if we could potentially do something like that, and possibly even in the June 1st Friday or the July 1st Friday. Courtney, do you have any more input on that?
It's on the next agenda, then we'll bring examples of what various local communities around here do and around the states, because there is a variety of things that you could do for special alcohol events, special event permits, or festivals, things like that we can bring back and show you how other communities are doing that.
Okay.
They did something in Lake Butler this weekend, and they had the microbreweries out there, and I was like, I never thought about that. I don't drink personally, so I don't think about it. But it was like there was a different group of people that came to that festival, and it just brought people into their community.
Jenny will take care of that. Anything else?
I put something else in May, too. I want to recognize the ladies from the Women's Club at the end of the month for all that they do for our community. So I asked Jenny to put that on the May agenda. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
I think Jenny is also doing a proclamation for the first May meeting, also on behalf of the Women's Club for the teachers. Okay.
Good. Bye.
It was very nice today, the tree planting. We had a nice crowd.
Oh, yes, it was. It was very nice.
Yeah, it was great. I got to meet a lot of the women who I've not met before. And it was just very nice. And Robert was there. And who was the gentleman from Public Works that came with the shovel?
That's Robert's gentleman. He works
Dave.
for Robert. He's
David.
Robert's only helper.
Dave.
Well, we didn't have a shovel, so he got hit on and he helped plant the tree.
We just told him what to do,
Billy Joe, is that her name?
Yes.
Steve got in there with her. She was in it. But
I
it was
told them
nice.
to call you.
You what?
They were looking for somebody to attend because I couldn't go.
Yeah.
And I know where he was.
Yeah.
I said, well, I know who to call.
Yeah, and Nancy was there as well, so we had a nice turnout.
Good.
It was very nice.
Good deal. You good? I just want to, before we close this real quick, I want to thank Pastor Hall for his invocation. I think, I know he's not here, and Chief, in this, I think the recent events is telling, and I want to make sure that this isn't something that 6 months from now, we forget. And so I greatly appreciate his sentiments, and I think it is something that we all need to pray about and keep in our minds. And actually, every time you see somebody in a uniform, thank them, because they are the difference in the way we get to live our life is by you all putting your lives on the line for us. So I just want to thank Pastor and you guys and everybody else. Thank you. Nothing else? Meeting's adjourned. I ain't signing nothing.
Oh, not at all.